All right, we're going to call our meeting to order. This is a special call meeting, March the 27th. Chris, you want to call roll, please?
Judge Executive.
Present.
Present here. Master for District number 1, Mark Crabb.
Here.
Master for District number 2, George.
Here.
Master for District number 3, absent. Master for District number 4, Ronnie Akers. Here.
Thank you, Chris. Could you lead us in prayer?
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to come here to you today and acknowledge you, and we want to thank you for what all you have done for this county. We want to ask from you that you will continue your blessings upon this county, your blessings upon this court, continue to help it to make choices that is best for this county. We ask in Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a quick statement before we get started. I don't like having special call meetings any more than you all do. I feel it's important for us to give public time to respond and be present at our meetings. I want as much public participation as possible, but we've got a pressing issue. We had to meet tonight, and that's with the Southern Water District. And I just wanted to bring that up. I guess what we should do is just give a quick background of what's going on with the Southern Water. Southern has they've had quite a bit of turnover in the last 8 weeks. I guess I've been. I guess the new administration, we've been in here, 80 days, guys. We appointed the new board at Southern Water. They've been in place for about 6-7 weeks now. And as of Monday night, or yesterday morning, Southern replaced the management with a management group, UMG, out of Pikeville. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to let Jeff Prater stand up and address the court. And Jeff is the chairman of the board at Southern Water District. And we also have Greg May present. Greg is the owner, operator of UMG, and they will be the company that has the management contract for Southern going forward. Jeff, if you'd like to step forward and just tell us a little bit about the situation up there, and I guess some of the folks here on the fiscal court may have some questions.
Okay. Well, certainly the first thing I'd like to say is that we took the appointment as board members very seriously, and it is an excellent group of people that we've been working with, or I've been working with. They really have the interest of the system at heart. We have looked into every possible avenue that we can. As of Monday night, we signed an emergency management agreement with UMG because we didn't see any feasible way moving forward to correct some of the systemic problems that we have without that. Our real pressing immediate need is that our cash flow is in such a situation that we are sort of needing some cash to get through for a short period of time. Kentucky Rural Water Association is working on a rate study that I talked to him Monday of this week. He said that 1 to 2 weeks the rate study should be done. Then the board can meet and vote to apply for an emergency rate increase at Frankfort with the Public Service Commission. Then we expect that to take a minimum of 90 days, maybe more. But what we are here tonight to ask the fiscal court's two things. We're here to ask the fiscal court to help us to obtain short-term funding of $150,000 loan. The second part of our request is we're asking the fiscal court if they would entertain loaning Southern Water $150,000 until we can secure that loan from whatever financial institution and repay the fiscal court upon obtaining the loan, but we would have the money to continue to finance our operations until we can get the rate increase submitted and approved. And we do believe this is a very short-term process. When I say short-term, I'm thinking 4 months is what we're thinking. And so that's why we're here to ask. And but I would entertain any questions that anyone has. I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Jeff, I understand why we're in this situation. A lot of folks don't understand. Can you explain what happened 2 years ago and why Southern Water is having the cash flow issues today?
One of the things that happened 2 years ago was that there was a transfer of the sewer assets of Southern Water and Sewer to Prestonburg City Utilities. And there was a transfer of approximately 1,200 customers to Prestonburg City Utilities. The revenue from those 1,200 customers was not, I guess, adequately, it wasn't, the deal wasn't looked at financially very well because the revenue loss from those 1,200 customers really crippled Southern Water, and the amount of revenue they're taking in now just cannot support the operations without those customers. It's created a terrible cash flow situation. Without those customers, it's difficult. And you compound that with the problem, there are systemic problems with the system with high water loss, failed meters issues, and things that we're just now beginning to uncover that are going to take some capital investment and some time to correct. But I honestly believe that the board has a management group in place, and we are developing the plans needed to turn this thing around, and that the personnel is available to turn it around. We just need that short-term funding mechanism to get us to that point where we can turn the system around and get into a better cash flow situation, with the full expectation that in 6 months to a year we will have made tremendous progress working through different issues.
So you certainly feel by June, July of this year that the cash flow situation will be rectified to a point that
Yes.
it should be, the cash flow should be sufficient at that point to maintain the daily operations and keep the business stable going forward.
I certainly believe that. I believe that 90 to 120 days is the short-term time frame that we're working in, and we're going to work hard to make progress between now and then. Getting an emergency rate adjustment will help, but we're not going to stop. We're not waiting for that emergency rate adjustment. We are working now in every avenue that Mr. May can find for any kind of operational savings and any kind of way to reduce our water loss. And so, but we do feel like that June or July could be the turning point for Southern Water.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wondered how much money on the transfer from Bates Lane and Harold. How much did you lose on that?
And I'm speaking from memory. I believe the accountant told us $45,000 to $50,000 per month. We have a negative cash flow of about $50,000 or $60,000 per month currently. So the two things do coincide. We have water loss as well. There's no doubt about that. But the $50,000 roughly that the Southern was taking in from that 1,200 customers is definitely roughly equivalent to the problem that we're now seeing in cash flow.
Another thing too, on the loss that we're showing on the financial statements each month, there's some non-cash items on there that also is playing into the loss that is not an actual cash loss, amortization and depreciation. So folks are going to say, well, now if we're going to generate an additional 50,000 and we're going 60,000 in the whole monthly, that's really not an accurate statement, because the actual cash loss may only be 35,000 a month. You got depreciation, amortization, things like that figure in on the financials. So we don't want folks to think we're going to be trying to plug additional holes here in the immediate future. So this should be sufficient.
I think it would be sufficient, and like you said, that the financial number does include the depreciation of the system, and it's not cash out. It is just a mandatory depreciation on the financials. So we still feel $150,000 is what we feel it would really require to get through to a period of time where that we can get the rates adjusted, and we'll be working on it, but we're still going to have to make some long-term investments into the water plant.
Jeff, what has PSC said about your loan that you're going to get? Are they
the loan that we're asking you for today?
No, the resolution says that 90 days you want you to apply for a loan at whatever institution.
We're asking that if the court would make an immediate loan to Southern Water, and we will repay that upon such time. Simultaneously or concurrently, we have sent notification to the Public Service Commission today asking for permission to use that money. You could grant us the loan. We cannot use that money for any operational work or to pay any debts in operations, as I understand it, until we receive Public Service Commission approval. We have asked for that today. I couldn't tell you how many days that would take, but we can't use the money without their approval.
Just quickly to answer your question, the Public Service Commission did approve it. They got back with Keith Bartley.
Okay, I apologize.
I apologize. Keith called and told me that they had responded to an email, and they said as long as the debt does not exceed 2 years, there's not an issue. Is that?
Yeah, that's what he said, and it had to be, any agreement would have to be reduced in writing. So whatever.
I knew that email went out this morning, and I appreciate the information so that does make me feel better that we could use it immediately.
But another thing too, we want to also tell the public is we appreciate what you guys are doing. We're not in any way holding the current board accountable for what's happened in the past. We want folks to understand what's in the past we can't change. We have to do what we can to keep the system viable going forward. We understand there's heartburn from folks over what's happened in the past and some of the financial dealings and things that's occurred. But I want to personally thank you all, because I understand the pressure and the amount of time that you all had to put in as a board. I don't think that a lot of folks understand the time and effort that you all put in. You all were in Frankfurt all day yesterday. You know, down there meeting with the PSC and going through voluntary training. That's a big commitment for professionals such as yourself. And I not only appreciate you, but I appreciate RECC for lending you to us. Steve Dawson, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Daniels, and everybody on the board, Bud, and we certainly appreciate your all's input and what you bring to the table for us.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm sure all the others appreciate that very much. We are really trying hard to make the best decisions that we think, and we're trying to make long-term decisions and plans to put Southern in a position where that it will not only survive but thrive in the coming years. That's our goal, and everyone on the board's goal.
Jeff, how many employees does Southern have?
22. 22 employees.
So when they're all with the new management group
Yes.
is in place as long as everything's good?
All of the Southern Water employees are under the direct control of Mr. May.
Any other questions, Mark, George?
So once is the board still gonna have their monthly meetings?
We are, yes,
And
the
Greg
board
was-
still sets the policies for Southern Water, and we still function in the same way, except that instead of Mr. May's group will be in charge of the day-to-day operations, but they still come to us for all policy, budgetary decisions, anything that the board did. Let me say that, apologize. Anything the board was responsible for before UMG took over management, the board is still responsible for those same items and same things legally, and we would still set the policies and the direction.
If we agree, guys, you got anything down there?
Mark, you got any
If we
questions?
agree on this loan, are we going to, do you need it, how can we structure it to where it's
Basically, what
50,000 now?
what we discussed, Jeff, is maybe we do so much. If we do the 150, we do 75. Take a look at the expenditures. I mean, we'll do the documents which state that we're going to do the 150 loan if we did the 150. But what we would ask is maybe we initially give you 75. We want to see documentation on how the money's spent, and simply for public. You know, we want to let the public know we're moving through this process and being cautious with the tax dollars as possible. I have full confidence, and I think everyone on this on the fiscal court has full confidence in you all. But we certainly feel that would probably be the best way to approach it. We do 75, and we do it like a drawdown, 75 and then 75. What do you think, Ronnie?
When's our next regular court meeting, on the 16th?
16th of April.
So would you have some kind of financials in place for them, do you think?
I'm
Greg?
certain we could bring you a report at that time, both on the progress we've made and how that money was utilized. And that's more than fair, $75,000, because we intend to stretch that $150,000 over several months. I think that's more than fair to Southern Water and to the board, and I wouldn't have any issues with that whatsoever.
Okay. You okay with that, Ronnie?
Yeah.
You know, and
Beth, from legal standpoint, is that,
That, as long as the repayment period's within the 2 years.
yeah.
And
well, what, 90 days, hopefully, is the repayment?
Whatever amount of time it would take us to
Right there.
secure a loan, that could be probably 90 days. How long it would take us, with your help, to secure a loan of that equal amount.
I certainly believe we can do it in 90
We
days.
should be able to.
Yes.
I mean, financials is what they're gonna ask for,
Yeah.
so not amortized or something, it's just what your cash flow basis is, how we're gonna repay it. And that type
Sure.
of- So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
so you would need to keep, draw up the contract and vote on it, the board would vote on it also, the terms of it, the 75 and 75.
Well, I think what we could do, we could just change it. We will do an agreement
Right.
with the county attorney. We just have to agree in principle tonight
Right.
how we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
So, any more questions for Mr. Prater? If not, any questions for Greg? If we need to go executive session and we gotta do transfers, then we'll talk about how we wanna structure the resolution.
Yeah, I'd like
Okay.
Greg to address
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of the issues in the 2 days that he's been over there. He was telling us some things earlier.
Yeah, just remember.
Greg,
we
you-
have been-
Introduce yourself, please. They're filming over here. You got a live audience.
Okay, I'm Greg May, I'm the CEO and owner of UMG. We operate all the city's utilities, all of their public works and water and wastewater, and we also operate some plants over in Virginia. First of all, I'd like to say that, reiterate what Jeff says about we're not worried about what waters went under the bridge. We're not gonna back up, try to catch that water or paddle back upstream. But I've had a team of 5 people, including myself, for 2 days over in Southern Water. And we've uncovered a lot of issues. One of the biggest issues, I think, going forward that Jeff and I have discussed and already, I think, Judge, I mentioned to you, but we've not gone into discussion. But in order for Southern Water to advance and to get in shape enough to where it's financially stable, is there gonna have to be a meter replacement program. In the 2 days we've been there, we found out that they over 700, between 700 and 750 meters that are dead, running zero. So that's minimum bill. It's just.
So you're saying there's 700 meters that are not reading?
There's over 700.
Wow.
And then there's probably 200 more meters that are in the inactive status that we don't know where water's going through them or not. They're just inactive because people's called in and said, you know, read out my bill and stuff. And so we're in the process of, one of the first things we've done is we went to the field. We put boots on the ground with Southern Water's employees, trying to get the knowledge that they have with the system and trying to identify where those meters are that are inactive. And we kind of know where the ones slow ones are. We think the entire meter system is from 12 to 15% slow. And I think.
So you're saying based on the age of the meters, they could recoup 10 to 15% in additional revenue with
Yes.
new meters?
Yes, you have to understand, meters never speed up. They always slow down. So over a period of time, they just keep getting slower and slower and slower. That's the nature of the meter. And Public Service Commission requires those meters to be replaced or tested every 10 years. And we have found meters in the field that are 25 years old or less. They're real old, and they've never been tested or never been changed out. So we think one of the biggest problems is the meters in the water system. I know they have a lot of leaks. We've discussed that with a gentleman here, and it's just, we didn't come headhunting or throwing anybody under the bus, but basically the management of Southern Water, not casting any blame on whoever, but the management not to stay on top of the water line replacement and a meter replacement and just a good comprehensive plan on operating this system. It's just not been there. And it's not only been in the field, but there's several issues in the administration inside. And again, not casting any blame, but in order for that water system to operate properly, both the administrative offices have got to work hand in hand with the field people, because it takes it all to make it work right.
Yeah.
And so, I've got 2 pages of things that we found. I'm not gonna go into them because we're working through it. I thank you for entrusting us into coming over and trying to help. Again, I was telling Jeff and at the board meeting the other night, I have 15 employees that work for me that are on that water system. Also, my wife's family is all on that water system. So I've got some interest in trying to get that system fixed. And so it's not going to be a quick fix, but I think you'll start seeing progress in weeks and a couple of months. We'll see some drastic improvements on the water leak situation.
Are you planning on bringing some additional crew in from Iowa office to do some
We
leak
got,
detection and that kind of thing?
Ronnie, we've got 5 people, some of the best people I've got in utilities, and we've hired Don Compton, that's retired from Brushmore Utilities. He's come on board with me, and so Don will be over there every day. And I've got several of my best people that has worked in water. I think the crew we had there the other night had over 80 years of experience in water and utility work. So we're going to do what it takes to try. If we see that we need additional manpower, some of that manpower I could very well bring from other projects.
Another quick question, and like you said, we don't need to look back, but I do have to ask this question. Based on the deficiencies that you've identified in the last 2 days there, should the prior management have identified those same deficiencies and brought it to the attention of the board?
Yes, right. I mean, I just don't know how you operate a system if you don't keep on, look.
If you have 700 meters that's not working, someone needs to know that.
Well, it certainly is.
15% of your meters don't work.
Yes, like I said, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
I understand.
Figures, but the management has not been very good.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming out. Guys, you all have any, Mark, George, any questions?
One other comment
Oh,
want to
okay, thanks.
Judge. We intend to keep all the Southern Water employees. It's like I told the board every night, there will be a set of rules, and UMG operates under rules. And as long as those people are willing to work by the rules and come to work and willing to work, then their job's secure. So I just want to point that out, because the rumor gets out, though, we're going to replace everybody. That's not the case. I don't have a boxcar of other people sitting waiting to come in and start running something. I do have management people that I can bring in.
We appreciate that.
But you got experience in some other systems that, was failing, Golfin County was one, right?
Yeah, we went over and fixed Vico, we fixed Goffin County, we fixed the Sayerfield too. My experience is, I've got 25 years in probably 18 different systems. So we've got a lot of experience in
Yeah.
water and utilities, so, especially managing. So,
We look forward to working with you, I do.
I do too, Greg.
You're going with her new board and stuff.
Absolutely.
I think it's
well, I do want to appreciate, I'll say this, I work with a lot of boards and stuff. The board that you've got in place right now is so serious about this issue that all times you don't see that. And to meet once a month and to hear them talk about the relevant questions and the relevant questions they ask and their concerns is pretty pleasing to me to think that we've got people that concerned. So, and like I said, I've been in front of a lot of boards over the years, and if they maintain the course they're going, they will succeed in straightening it out.
I believe so as well. I appreciate you. Appreciate your comments, Greg. Appreciate your time. Thank you. David, do we need to go into executive session?
You'd be the one, Judge. I don't have any, county attorney, you all have something you need to discuss legally, not me. That's up to you.
Okay, we don't have anything for executive session. Okay, first resolution we have is on the transfers. You all get a chance to look at it. Can we get a motion to accept the transfers?
motion.
Second.
Chris, you want to call roll, please?
Okay. Magistrate for District Number 1, Mark Crowder.
Yes.
Magistrate for District Number 2, George Usley.
Yes.
Magistrate for District Number 3, Ronnie Akers.
Okay, the next resolution, and this is, it's actually, there's two parts to this. And there will be a modification in the disbursement terms. And that would be for, Ronnie, we're going to do $75,000 initially. do 75, because what's going to happen here in the next couple of weeks, they're going to have payroll and things now, and I don't know that 50, based on their numbers, we may have to do something before then. So what I would suggest is let's do 75 at our next meeting. They can bring us some sort of a ledger in, something to show us where the money's spent, and then we can approve an additional drawdown on the other 75.
You said 75 at the next meeting, so we're not gonna get it till the next meeting?
We'll do the first 75. This resolution, we'll approve the 150 total. There will be a 75,000 drawdown that we'll have available hopefully tomorrow based on the documents. And then,
What did Mia say that we had to get
It has to be, there has
that agreement?
agreement signed.
yes, we will get the agreement. We'll get the agreement put together, make sure that there is an agreement between us that the loan will be paid, because, you know, here's the thing about this, folks, and it's kind of what's happened with the $2 million bond that we've got. These things get kicked down the road before you know it, different people and different problems, so we want to make sure that we do everything correctly. And yeah, we would have a formal agreement in place, Ronnie, for us and the taxpayers of Floyd County, make sure that everyone is covered. And but the resolution would be for the not only for us to do the loan, but help to assist Southern into acquiring the loan to pay the 150 back to the fiscal court.
I got a question about that.
Yes.
Jeff, when are y'all gonna try to apply for that? Do you have any set time yet?
To apply for the loan to repay you, we'll do it as soon as we can arrange it. And so,
It probably won't be in place by our next 16th court meeting, will it?
I doubt it. Banks can't hardly loan you money like they used to.
I would just, the resolution says, to sign any and all, I'd just like to bring it back before the court.
Well, the any and all was also pertaining to an agreement that was gonna have to do with Keith, so you're basically, court's authorizing 75,000, then they come back with financials, and you're doing another 75 the next court meeting if you see fit. But you're also giving the judge permission to sign any and all documents pertaining to this loan, whether that's the check, a co-signed note at the bank, or an agreement between Jeff, the chairman of the board, and the judge for repayment schedule. That's where the any and all documents came from.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to see.
We can name it instead of saying any and all documents. We can
Yeah.
say repayment schedule, any documents from the bank.
Well, according to KRS, it has to be repaid in what, Beth, 2 years?
2 years.
2 years, so.
Yeah, but
that's-
the repayment would be for the bank,
For
not
the-
to
yeah,
us.
that's what- yeah.
We'll be expecting payment back 90 days. I mean, the loan should be well done in 3 months. I mean, it's,
Okay.
But I think the agreement, the contract would have to state that it has to be, I mean, if they don't obtain the loan, then we still have to pay back within that 2-year period. If they
Oh,
don't
correct,
obtain-
yes.
Right, I mean, but the contract would need to specifically say that.
I don't think, I certainly don't think there's gonna be a problem in us getting the loan if we step up and help Southern to get the loan. I feel confident there's not gonna be a problem with that. I understand what you're saying, Ronnie. You don't wanna give a blanket approval to go out here and just sign documents. I understand that.
but
I understand
it's
that.
not a blanket, it's just pertaining to the loan or the lease agreement. It's not pertaining to any other thing besides the 150,000 or the loan. That's all.
And Keith looked at the resolution, that's what he put, there just needs to be specific on that sentence, not any and all bank documents that are according to that 150.
Okay.
Okay, that's what Keith said. Keith made a note of that. Yes.
He said that needs to be specific to the limit.
Well, that's the lawyer language. That's why we have a county attorney that takes care of those things. So we'll certainly let you all take care of that.
Mark,
But-
George, you got any questions about it?
Well, I've got confidence in our new board. I think we're gonna, they can't straighten it out. I don't know how much hope they've got.
Well, this board, if,
It falls back to us.
well, ultimately, it falls back to us, and that's another thing that the public needs to understand, that if Southern Water fails, it falls back to the fiscal court. So we have to do what we can to try to help Southern be successful. But, so you're okay, Ronnie, if we do the 75 and then at the next meeting, we do another 75 drawdown based on the documentation? We would want to see the documentation and approve, do an approval at that time of the expenditures between now and the 16th. And then we would go ahead and vote at that time to do another 75,000 drawdown on
That'd be fine.
it. Okay. You got that, Beth? We can structure it that way. David, any issues with that?
No.
Okay. I mean, a lot of that's just technicalities that'll be taken care of by the lawyer. We just have to vote, to go ahead and vote to approve the loan. I make the motion for the approvals. Anyone want a second? Ronnie seconded. Call roll, please.
Master for District Number 1, Mark Crider.
Yes.
Master for District Number 2, George Isley.
Yes.
Magistrate for District Number 3, Ronnie Akers. 4.
All right.
With the corrections made to the resolution.
That's right. That's right. And I think she's made a note of what the corrections will be. We just need to get the language worked out. Who wants to make a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
Second.
Got it, Chris?
Got it.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate your time.